Let's start by printing out the pattern. On the first page, you'll find the layout diagram for assembling the pattern. Next comes the actual pattern pieces. Assemble the pattern pieces according to the layout diagram. Before taping the pattern together, make sure to check these test squares. They should match the measurements shown here both in inches and centimeters. After that, you'll need to tape the pattern pieces together. Before cutting the fabric, I recommend pre-shrinking it by pressing with steam. This will help prevent the fabric from shrinking during sewing and ensure the final size matches your expectations. Let's move on to cutting the fabric. I'm folding the fabric along the grain to cut mirrored pieces at once. Each pattern piece needs to be cut twice. First, we'll trace the outline of our pattern onto the fabric. Please pay attention. The pattern includes notches. Be sure to mark the notches first with tailor's chalk so you can easily snip them later. This will help during the assembly of the hat. I'm not sure if you can see it clearly because the chalk color is a bit bluish. After tracing the piece, pin it securely to prevent the fabric from shifting while cutting. Now we can start cutting. I'm using a rotary cutter because it's more convenient for me, but you can use scissors if you prefer. If you're using a rotary cutter, be careful not to cut your fingers. I've had a close call before. Now, let's carefully snip the notches. And also make small cuts inside the fabric where needed. Now we need to join the brim pieces of the hat. Place the pieces right sides together, aligning the notches carefully. Pin them together. Sew around the edge with a 0.7 centimeters seam allowance. We've sewn the brim pieces together. Now clip the seam allowance around the curve, stopping 1 to 2 millimeters before the stitching. Be careful not to cut the seam. This will help the brim lay flat. Next, turn the brim right side out. After that, press the brim to create a crisp edge. Shape the seam allowance neatly with your fingers. Then, use the iron to give it a polished, finished look. Next, we'll head to the sewing machine to stitch the top stitching around the brim. In my case, I decided to sew the top stitching 0.7 centimeters from the edge. This distance can vary depending on the size. You might choose 1 centimeter, 1.5 centimeters, or 0.5 centimeters. It all depends on your personal preference. Now, let's prepare the strap, the top divider of the hat. Fold it right sides together as well. Pin it together. Sew with a 0.7 centimeter seam allowance. The strap is now sewn. Turn the strap right side out. Use your fingers to shape a sharp, clean edge. Press it with an iron to set the shape. If you like, you can insert reflective piping into this seam for added visibility and style. Now, head to the sewing machine and top stitch both sides of the strap, 0.5 centimeters from the edge. Now, let's prepare the crown band. We have 2 pieces for this part. One of the pieces needs to have one edge pressed under by 1 centimeter. I'm using a cardboard template marked with centimeter measurements to help me press accurately. Next, fold the pieces right sides together. Fold back the pressed under seam allowance. Pin it in place. Also, take the second piece without the pressed edges, fold it right sides together, and pin it as well. Take it to the sewing machine and sew the pieces together. The seam allowance is 1 centimeter. After sewing, press the seam open. Our pieces are ready. Here's everything we have completed so far. Now, we need to join all the pieces together. Attach the strap to the crown band. Earlier, we marked the knot. There are 2 notches here and 2 notches here. Place the pieces right sides together. Make sure the pressed seam allowance is facing downward. Do the same for this side as well. Like this. From above, place the second crown band piece. Make sure the seams align with both the bottom and top pieces. I simply remove the bottom pins and repin the piece on top of the upper one. Here's what we have so far. Now, sew around the edge with a 0.7 centimeters seam allowance. We've sewn everything together. Now, turn it right side out. Smooth out the raw edge. Fold everything like this. Press this edge with an iron. Now go to the sewing machine and top stitch around the edge, 0.1 to 0.2 centimeters from the fold. Here's what it should look like in the end. This is the top piece. One edge is already pressed. As you can see, we did it earlier. This is the top divider. Your pet's ears will go through these openings. Now let's prepare the drawstring. Here, I have a finished white drawstring like this. Fold it in half. You'll need no more than 1 meter, depending on your preferences and the size of your dog or cat. Here, I have 1 meter. Now I'll tie a small knot at each end to prevent the drawstring from fraying. I'm showing you a simpler option. Of course, you can buy ready-made tips to put on the ends for a neater look, but here I'm demonstrating the easiest method. After that, take the top piece. We have side notches. Here's where they are located. If we look like this, they're on this side. And on this side, take the drawstring and pin it to each notch. It's important to align the drawstrings with the notches on this side so that, once finished, the cords will be positioned perfectly on the sides. Now sew it on the machine, with a seam allowance no wider than 0.5 centimeters, and make back stitches to secure. All done, the back stitches are in place. Just like this. Now we need to attach this piece to the brim of our bucket hat. We will sew only this unpressed edge for now. Let's tuck the drawstrings inside to keep them out of the stitching. Like this. Now take the hat and position it so that the hat brim folds inward. There are notches on the brim to guide you. See, we align the brim's notches with the top piece's notches. And pin everything together. To avoid mistakes during this process, the written illustrated instructions include a clear diagram showing this step in detail. Now, we need to tuck the hat brim inward like this. Depending on the size, this might be a bit tricky. Smaller sizes can be less convenient to work with. Look, now we've folded everything back like this. Here's what we've got so far. And now, we need to sew it together. Use a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Sew all the way around. We've sewn everything together. Now, we need to cover the seam allowance of the brim attachment with this binding strip which we pressed earlier. Note that this is the right side, the outside. Fold the seam allowance with the binding strip like this, then top stitch around the edge, 0.1 to 0.2 centimeters from the fold. Congratulations, our bucket hat is finished. Now, just press the edge to give it a neat and polished look. This is what you should end up with. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Want to get the sewing pattern for this bucket hat? The link is in the description below, and you can also find it through the link in my profile. See you in the next video.